Every company has difference makers, the people who go above and beyond what's required. This podcast is dedicated to the people who challenge the status quo and make good companies great. Today, we're sharing one story from one company in our effort to inspire others. Welcome to Difference Makers, our third podcast in the series of difference makers, people that challenge the status quo, make good companies great. And today, my guest is Kevin Peranio of PRMG, Chief Lending Officer. Hey, Kevin.
How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I'm gonna brag on you just a little bit before we get started. So, folks, Kevin is a four-time President Cabinet member. Was recognized by National Mortgage Professional as top 40 under 40. Since joining PRMG in 2010, where I believe you created the whole Eastern U.S. really for PRMG, and then relocated to California and became Chief Lending Officer across the company, correct? And became equity partner and I believe the youngest partner at PRMG, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. I let my partners know that every day.
You've also become an active voice on social media platforms. I know that for me, it's become a trusted source of information in current times, kind of keeping us all up to date, which is awesome. I call it, I tell my wife, I've got to have coffee and KP in the morning because that gets my day started. And, the times that I try to do the math, I think about the times you're filming these things and I'm getting up and having my coffee. And then there are times like within an hour or two of having my coffee, I'll get a text from you and think, my God, does he ever sleep? Yeah, amazing. So I had some questions for you, and I wanted to ask you, kind of going back into your early life and just starting there, because we can talk about the industry later. What we really want to do is get to know you a little bit, and maybe go back to the early years. Where are you from, and where did you grow up, and those kinds of things.
Well, thank you for the great intro. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas. My parents are still together, pushing, I guess they're 58 years now, married.
Wow. Good example, huh?
I know. It's crazy. Catholic from the deep South, small towns of Louisiana, good people, hardworking. My dad has three sisters. We're, I guess, fourth generation Italian, and I think on my mom's side it's probably fourth generation Scottish Irish. Mm-hmm. So just the drill. It's just hardworking, put your head down, get stuff done. My dad, he went to LSU, and I went to University of Texas at Austin. So we had a little battle last year in week 2 in college football, and unfortunately, the rematch in Death Valley got canceled this year. No non-conference games, but
I can't believe it.
I know, what a bummer. Should have won that game, by the way. We dropped a fourth down in the end zone. But my dad, he got an electrical engineering degree and moved to Baltimore and worked for Westinghouse. And after 2 years, he moved to Dallas in Texas Instruments. Paid for him to get his master's in EE. So that's kind of my background. My mom has a master's in teaching and at North Texas. So, education, studying was always, hard work was always ingrained in who I am. And so that's just, they made me who I am, and I'm super appreciative for them. They're both still together and still alive in Dallas. My dad,
you're blessed.
Yeah, very blessed. My dad, unfortunately, he suffers from Parkinson's disease. So he's had it quite a long time. Actually, it's not, he has a lot of assistance, even walking, so talking. So it's a very tough thing to deal with as a family. I have a sister with 2 kids, my niece and nephew, and they live in Dallas. So, I'm all about big family, and they made me who I am, made me a hard worker. And my dad was always kind of funny and witty, and I think he was a little, he was a little more of an maybe an introvert, and so So he was born in July as a Cancer, and I'm a Leo in August. So the difference in those personalities.
Yeah, you definitely didn't inherit that from him. That's for sure.
I inherited from the stars, I guess.
I don't know where you got that from. Maybe mom, but
yeah.
So I've seen some videos with your kids running around in the background. You have a beautiful family,
Thank you.
and yeah, really good looking
It's a lot
family.
of work.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've
Seth,
been there, man. I'm on the other side of that though. I'm
I
54 years
know.
old. Like my youngest is just started her nursing career. So
Oh, that's so awesome. What a parenting success on your part. I mean, I see your videos, you're working out, you're in the gym, you get all buff. I'm like, I got little kids, I can't even go to the gym.
I went through the Oreo stage too, buddy. Trust me.
Yeah.
Sleeves of them. Yeah.
Well, that's why it's funny. That's why I put on my LinkedIn videos, I put hashtag dad bod
Yeah, I saw that.
because, people don't, I mean, I just got on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. People don't know. I used to do Ironman. I used to work out 4 or 5 times a week. I was fit. I played soccer my whole life and other stuff. And now I'm just this fat, tubby guy with a double chin,
I
and
don't know about all that. You'll
brother,
get your
trust
chance to
me.
get back in the gym. Trust me, you'll be fine.
Well, I will. And
But enjoy these times now, because this is really where these are the best times that you're in right now. Honestly, these are the best times. It's not after; it's now.
I agree,
So
man.
enjoy.
I love it.
So my next question is, you were in Florida. Wanted to ask you about who the early influencers were in your life, whether that's business or personal. How did you start in Florida, and how did you get into the mortgage business? Those are 3 different questions. But
Yeah, for sure.
attack 'em.
So, obviously mom and dad, they rank number 1A, 1B. And I was working at Dell Computers in Austin, and they kind of went through what our industry hasn't gone through yet, but will happen, which is, all these salespeople are doing tons of loans. It's easy to sell computers, and there's tons of margin in it. And then boom, all of a sudden the price war starts. And the Amazon effect happened to Dell Computers.
Okay.
If you remember Gateway and Dell and
Oh yeah.
HP, and there's so many. I mean, there's only just a couple makers now. So I was working the same amount of time for basically half the income. And
Dude, you need a Dell. Remember that guy?
dude, I was the guy you called on the phone. So
Okay.
I was 22, 23. There's 800 people sitting in the home sales center with a headset on. And we would look up in the queue and we'd get phone calls in. When Steven, the little guy in that commercial, like, dude, you're getting a Dell. We'd call in and, I try and sell you a computer and get you to finance it and put a printer and,
Yeah.
the service plan, all that crap on there. I had the highest close rate. So number one, out of 850 people, I was number one every quarter. I won all the trips. So I always take my time. So I love sales. I have my own style.
Mm-hmm.
And when that changed, a buddy of mine, Matt Fankhauser, who basically ran all of portfolio management when they bought assets at Goldman Sachs after the crash, and now is working at SoFi. He turned me on to First Magnus. He's like, dude, this company's taking off. You got to come check it out. Come be a wholesale account executive with me. So I went over there, and my early mentors there were Ramaj Bali, who was our division vice president.
Good man.
Good dude. Hired me.
Good man. Good friend.
And he's awesome. Him and Missy.
I love that guy.
He's a good dude. Well, then, so he was like the boss, and then he hired me, and then, he's the one doing all like the book, reading the books from good to great, introducing all these leadership concepts. But in the weeds every day, it was Leslie Inman, and that was my mentor. Where it was like, you're going to learn like all the nuts and bolts of everything, and she's incredible. She works here at PRMG. Still have a lot of respect for her. I'm so blessed to still work with her. So those are my early mentors. I moved to Florida. I moved to Tampa 2 years later. No friends, no family, just left everyone as a wholesale AE. Started ramping up that territory. Ramaj acquired that territory from the corporate headquarters, and then I called my best friend Corey Pazaki. I was like, dude, you got to get in this business. It's like he was doing medical recruiting out of Dallas, and he jumped in. And he's our number one sales manager and account executive on the wholesale side. Many years running here now. And so I just had a chance to bring a lot of people with me over to Florida and from Texas. 6 months later, I moved to Fort Lauderdale. I was in Fort Lauderdale for 13 years and running a wholesale territory, big operations team. A lot of those ops people are still with me to this day. A lot of salespeople at the highest level are still together on our team. And it's been fun. I mean, those are all my big pivotal moves. Of course, the crash happened and First Magnus went out of business, and kind of started with a young little small company in South Florida for 3 years. They gave me equity in that company, and I got a chance to learn how to run a lender
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a small lender, North Star Lending. Had a little falling out with the two
Retail or
founders.
wholesale? Was that retail or wholesale?
So that's why I really it started at wholesale. We really ramped it up, and but then I started hiring a couple key people in retail. Because if you recall, with all the regulation and Dodd-Frank, eventually people were ducking out of wholesale and going into retail. And so I would go to local people I knew and say, well, why don't you come be part of our platform? We have a balance sheet. We're servicing. I mean, I personally got a package from Fannie Mae and applied to become a seller servicer. I don't know what the hell I was doing. And we got approved. And then 2 months later, they got taken to conservatorship. I was like, shit, I got to go hire somebody to, go run servicing. So we found a recruiter to find a servicing person to investor accounting. We brought servicing in-house because our sub-servicer failed to meet the new network requirements. I mean, it was just a storm, and but I was learning, in 3 years. I basically got, kind of a master's in the industry, how to run a lender. But the company I was with, they had some baggage from the past, and the way the two founders, they didn't really run things the right way. So I linked up with two really good founders here at PRMG, Paul Rozo and Robert Holliday, and the way they operate. I asked them all the questions that I just learned, like, what's your net worth? How'd you escape all the buybacks? Who's your warehouse lines with? What's your cash position? What's your vision? Where are you going to go? And they're like, hey, slow down there, Turbo. Do you want to come help us grow? And I'm like, yeah, I just want to know who I'm doing business with.
Yeah. How did you meet? How'd you meet those guys though? How did that happen?
So Herb Lewis and Ron Gapp were two gentlemen that ran the West Division. They were Ramaj Bali's counterpart at First Magnus.
Okay.
And they had linked up with Paul and Robert, and they knew who I was, and they were trying to just kind of thumb around and find a way to break out east of the Mississippi. And I left, and just kind of in those couple months, the timing worked out. I met Ron and Herb, and Herb is still here to this day. He's our largest divisional, Herb Lewis. He was there when Countrywide had one office. I mean, Angela Mazzillo basically had him build, dozen offices for Countrywide early on. So a lot of mentors, that I'm all now with, everyone that I like in this business. The only one I would mention that I haven't mentioned yet, besides Paul, Robert, Leslie, Matt, Corey, my parents, and Herb, is Gary Malice. He was one of the owners of First Magnus. And every time I had a chance to see him speak, he had his BlackBerry and everything was going crazy, and he was just like on fire and super smart, can articulate very, really complicated concepts, especially as it relates to hedging and secondary and capital markets. And now he's my partner here. So I feel so blessed. Like there's this coming together of all these people who I have so much respect for, and most of them I still work with, to this day. And it's been a very fun ride, and I feel like I'm still only in the fourth inning.
That's awesome. We see Gary from time to time on your daily video in the background.
Yeah. He's brilliant.
He just kind of wheels his chair back and does one of these. And...
yeah. He doesn't like, he would be here all night. He and I don't sleep. Like, we have a major problem. We are workaholics. If I show you my sleep chart, like 4.5 hours of sleep is a good night of sleep for me.
Yeah, enjoy it, young man. That won't last.
Well, he's 50 and he's still doing it,
Well,
and
he's got a disease then.
Yeah, but his family's like, come on, like you gotta come home and hang out. So you hadn't seen him on my videos lately because he's really trying to make a concerted effort of going home sooner and just working from home and being around.
Yeah.
My kids are still young. Mine are 7, 5, 3, and 1. They're in bed by 8. I'm just getting started. I got another 4 or 5 hours to go at the office. So yeah, I'm working through that though.
I'm not one of those guys. I don't like working from home. I like the office. We went out of the office for about I think it was 3 weeks when when COVID came, and we just said, enough's enough. Let's just everybody back in the office, and we're properly distanced and everything's fine. We got a ton of sanitizer, and I've got masks thrown out everywhere. If you want to,
you got your drink in your hand. Yeah. It's like the airline. As long as you have a drink right by and you're just occasionally drinking, you can't have a mask on.
Yeah. So, if anybody was exposed to anybody, everybody go get tested, and we'll come back when everybody's free or everybody's clear, and that's what we did a couple times. But
100%.
Yeah, it's been great.
Temperature checks. We do temperature checks every morning. We have we have a lady that comes by in the middle afternoon and does a midday temperature check. We're not fully reopened here at the corporate office. We're in California.
Mm-hmm.
We all went and had our masks made, PRMG strong.
Oh, those are cool.
Yep.
Where's mine?
Yeah, we should get you one. Faith, family, health, work. I'll get you one.
Yeah, they're becoming fashion statements now. I'm not
I
going to do
know,
that. No.
I know, because they don't really stop the virus unless you have a true N95 mask. They stop the load of the virus, right? So if
Yeah.
someone sneezes right on you and you get all of it all over you, that's a problem. But if you kind of get like a couple particles here and there, that's something your body can fight off. I mean, literally the amount of load that you get of the
Hmm.
virus does have a big determination of how your body can fight it off.
I don't think I've ever been sneezed on in my face in my life. So I think we'll be okay. So you've developed a big presence on social media over the last year, maybe before that, but I've just started tuning in the last year, and it really all started with for me when all of the crisis sort of started. I started following you, and it's impressive because you're up to date not just on the industry, not just on sort of happenings around the mortgage business, but national issues as they impact our business as well, and social issues and things of that nature. So I guess my question is, first of all, how did you come up with the concept of, and what made you want to get online and start deciphering confusing news and sort of shining the light for people? And then what made you want to do it on a regular basis? And then, has it helped you define your brand or things like that? And
Yeah.
also, like, how do you collect all this data that you throw at us? It's like, is he an economist or is he in the mortgage business? So I want to know, like, where do you get all this data from each and every day that you get on there and you cite these stats like, there's an extra trillion in checking accounts, or there's, 1.4 billion in forbearance. Well, I guess we should all know that one, but the gross domestic product percentages and things like that. Like, how do you know all this stuff?
All good questions. I'll unpack it. So let me just start off. There's a guy that, I've been at the company almost 10 years now, and there's a guy that about a year and a half in, I ran across, really great leader on the retail side. He's our Eastern retail sales vice president. His name's Steve Levine, and he and
Good
I
man.
have a good relationship. I mean, he's really wicked smart, especially
Hmm.
with numbers. Does
Went
a
to
good job
UCF.
of, but yeah, I mean, he just helps people make money. He
No,
just helps.
he went to UCF. I think he went to UCF here in Orlando. Yeah.
Yeah,
Steve's a
yeah.
good
Well, I
guy.
mean, which is a great campus, by the way. He just helps people make money, but he's like, we call him big country. He's all behind the scenes, and then every now and then, he's very stubborn and he'll ask for something, and we won't give it, and then so and what's funny is in one of these little back and forths he and I had, he's like, you're such a narcissist. You're always online, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, okay. My 18-year-old daughter is studying psychology, and I got a term for you, narcissism. And I'm like, and it's funny because that's actually a fear of why people don't get on video. They use that as an excuse, like, I don't want to be out there all the time and be one of those people that's always showing themselves around. But let me tell you how it started. So I've always been someone that people come to for just questions and advice. I mean, I started in this industry as a wholesale account executive. So, I'm answering questions and scenarios and guideline questions, and then I'm hiring people, and then I'm mentoring people, and I'm training people. And then in life, I always say be an ear, not a mouth. I think the most effective communication is listening, although here I'm doing all the talking. But, it's just I've always been someone to listen. But one of the things I heard, and I'll give some credit to a friendly rival, Matt Ishbia over at United Wholesale. I have a lot of respect for what he and his team have done. They've built a tremendous company, and of course we compete on the wholesale side. And it was interesting. We hired a guy named John Stevens here, who was the president of NAM a couple of years ago. Now our retail channel director Chris Sorensen hired him, and John's a good dude. He's been on the retail side, and he helps build up and recruit retail branches. And in our conversation with John, I'm like, look, don't hire any brokers. We just hire other retail platforms. We have to we have to be like Switzerland. We have to like whatever you built by originators for originators. So if you want to be served in this channel, we got you. You want to be served in correspondent, we got you. You want to be served wholesale retail, we got you. So what was interesting is when we hired John, Matt Ishbia did a video, and he goes, we think it's a conflict of interest that some retail lender hired the president of NAM. And I was like, some retail lender? Excuse me? wholesale's half our business, buddy. When you were still playing basketball at Michigan State, we were building wholesale. So, I was like, you know what? I have to defend our reputation, or else someone else is going to do it. And literally, that was like kind of the last straw for me. I always wanted to get on LinkedIn because I like the B2B platform. Right. I don't want to get there and pound my chest, his company is 10 times bigger than ours. Who am I to sit there and even talk about what we're doing in wholesale? I feel like, everyone's chasing those guys, And so why should I even put myself out there? But then I was like, oh shit, I have to defend my reputation. Like, we have to defend ourselves, or someone else is going to talk about our identity if we don't. Right. So that was the first big reason that it's like, all right, that's it. I'm getting on LinkedIn. And I travel a lot. So, you and I met in Austin, and I'm at all these trade shows. But before, some a-hole in Wuhan ate bad soup, I was on the road 50% of the year. And I just thought it was kind of cool, like once a week or twice a week, if I would go out there and say, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's what's going on at the conference. You didn't get to travel here. Let me give you the lowdown. So, when the pandemic hit, everyone's asking me all these questions. I mean, I'm having literally hundreds of conversations and emails a day. People are like, what's going on with their rate sheet? What's a margin call? Why is there no note rate above 3.625 available in the rate sheet? And I'm like, I know what's going on here. I've been in this business, going on 20 years now. So it's like, I think I can help. So then I just started doing a daily update on LinkedIn. Just, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It maxes you out at 10 minutes unless you do a YouTube video, which I don't want to talk more than 10 minutes. So it caught on, LinkedIn's a good platform. The more you post, the more the algorithm puts you on other people's feeds, and the more people watch, the more it feeds on itself. And so,
right.
I'm not a troll for likes, although it is, it's a way to measure what's going on. I mean, I could get 25,000 views. I could get, 10,000, 12,000. I could get 2,000, but if I help, and the way I am, I'm a servant. I'm a servant leader. If I help one person, it's fulfilling to me, so if
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
If you help one person, it's so impactful. So why not help a couple thousand and some videos if they see value in it,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's great stuff. And, I have a coach, a business coach that I started, when you're younger, you don't think you need a coach. You just, get out of my way. I'm the greatest, I'll do this, I'll do that. I'm going to blaze my own trail. But as you get older, you realize, there's a lot of stuff that you're not trained or taught. And, there's people that it's like us, we specialize in recruiting. This is what we do all day long. And, so we're specialists. You're specialists in, putting people in homes and creating mortgage instruments. Right. So I have this guy, he's a coach, and he's a social media coach. And he was talking to me about, one thing he really impressed upon me is he said, look, people aren't necessarily picking up the phone as much anymore today, but they are on social media. And today that's a vital piece of doing business in America or anywhere, but especially we were talking about here. And he said, look, people will only do business with you today when they know who you are, what you stand for, and what you stand against. And you're not going to have enough of an opportunity to go and talk to everybody out there. So social media is your platform. That's where people are forming opinions of you. That's where they're learning about you. That's where they can make a few clicks and sort of behind the scenes investigate what you're about. And if you're not putting your message out there, then you're not branding yourself and you're not branding your company. So like you said, control the message. The way you control the message is by getting out there and being a voice, right? It's not narcissism. It's communication now. That's the way it is.
And that's what sales is. Sales is communication. Literally, that's it. If you're an originator and you're standing in line at the grocery store, of course, 6 feet apart now with a mask on, but before, if someone said something like, oh yeah, I'm looking for a house, and your ears would perk up and you would talk to them, or if you were at the Little League game for your kids and someone's talking about a refinance, you would tell them everything you do. Well, now you get to tell more people and more touches by using social media. But I think that still plays into some of the fears that people have about public speaking and,
Yeah, it's not easy. Let's face it. When you did your first one, were you comfortable?
I mean, the first time I ever did public speaking, I mean, there's sweat on my back right now. Like I get excited. I'm energetic. I'm not naturally.
I'll give you a quick story.
Naturally good at this.
So GMAC, GMAC, back when they had the retail business, they flew me out to Vegas to do they called me and they said, have you ever trained other managers how to recruit loan officers? I said, oh yeah, do that all the time. I'd never done it in my life. We want to fly you out. We'll give you a fee. We'll pay for your hotel and all the stuff. Stayed at Mandalay. And, you know, I wrote my speech out. I practiced it at home, went over it on the plane, got there, practiced it in front of the mirror in the hotel room. And then right before I was supposed to go down, I started profusely sweating. So I ran down and I got a 32-ounce beer and I went back up to the room and I guzzled the beer. And then I took a shower and got dried up and went down there and I kicked ass,
Yeah.
But after that, it was
Courage.
easier. After that, it was easier, but it was hard, man. I'm sitting in the bathroom going, geez, I don't know if I can do this, You go out there and there's 200 managers from branches around the country and they're just looking at you and judging you, and it's nerve-wracking at first, but you get comfortable with it.
Great way to get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And of course, if you and I are at a trade show and we're having a beer, we're more open, we're more honest, and yeah. As I've gotten older, I try and act like that normally when I'm buzzed. I try and channel that courage, which is why I say, like, people are like, are your owners okay with you saying what you say online? I'm like, I'm come on.
Being me. Yeah, being real.
Yeah, I'm trying to be real. I'm trying to have the courage to be who I am and say how I feel. And, but beyond, any kind of communication advantages that you get from doing video or being online or being on social media, it's reputation management.
Yeah.
I mean, people know me because I'm at trade shows and they know who I am. I'm not going to let some other company, no matter who it is, try and tell the industry who I am or what I'm about. I mean, I put myself out there every single day. No, everybody knows how I treat, everybody.
Well, I want to go there. So that's a good. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So my take on you is that you're a highly down to earth, very approachable, likable person. I feel like people are drawn to certain people. People are drawn to you, Kevin, with this ability to draw people together and build teams. And I've heard you talk about how important it is to have a great team to run a business. And specifically here, we're in the mortgage business, but and people say that, and so it's real easy to talk about. It's real easy to put it out there, cliche, but you really do. I mean, what you guys are doing right now, I mean, what's your monthly volume at now? Couple of billion?
We're shooting for 2 billion in October.
How incredible is that? I remember you posting a video where you came just shy of $1 billion, and you had it in the hallway, and then when you finally hit the $1 billion, and you guys memorialized that in your hallway, and I thought that was really cool. See, look, social media works. That I still remember that.
I know, but you know what? Social media is funny too, because when you put yourself out there, people will also be negative, because then the crabs in the bucket come out, right?
Good for them.
I know, but here, so it's funny you bring that up. So there's a broker who's a local broker here, and I mean, one of our longest fans and partners, but in a private group, in this broker group, they're like, oh yeah, I saw KP out there bragging about hitting $1 billion, and I'm like, someone sent me a screenshot of that, and I'm like, well, first of all, I thought this guy was not only a partner but a personal friend. Who would talk about a friend behind their back like that? Which I thought is totally uncool. Now, we squashed it. Me and the guy, oh yeah, we're cool, brothers fight, whatever. They just, whatever. But my point is, we had that shadow box before I moved to California. But before I ever moved to California, our two founders put these shadow boxes in our hallway with every milestone that they wanted to hit as a company. I'm talking like 10 years ago. Okay, so it's 100 million, 250, 500 million, and $1 billion in a shadow box in the hallway down the hall. So it's not like we're going around with pom-poms, parading around like, oh, hey, look how awesome this is. We're so great. It's a goal. We set a goal, and it's one of many goals. It's not just, our goals here aren't just about numbers, because, if you're an operations employee, it kind of rings hollow. That doesn't fulfill you. But as far as the salespeople go and like a milestone, that was something we set years ago. And that shadow box sat empty for years. And we hit it in a pandemic, recession, with people losing jobs, people dying, And I'm like, God, it's like, we're like, how do you even celebrate a goal the way you hit it with fortunate interest rate? It's like you're kind of torn because you want to be happy, but
Hmm.
you want to be kind of tempered because everyone's setting goals right now. Like people are growing, we're all being fortunate about these interest rates. And so,
Yeah.
I'll leave one little thing as a story I read about. I love this. And so, these gladiators who went to battle, and when they come back from battle in the Roman Empire, they would be
Hmm.
paraded around the circus in front of everyone cheering. While they were in the chariot being paraded around, the Caesar always had someone whispering in that hero's ear, all glory is fleeting. And so I've always had that stick with me. Like, yeah, it's great we're doing these numbers, but I know these rates can go up overnight. And I know we're back to grinding it out for first time home buyer business. So, and this kind of, dialogue you and I are having, we get to talk about some of these things and really put out there who we are. We're also on social media. The impression is, oh, KP's out there bragging about hitting $1 billion. No, that's not it. And so the more I put messaging out there and talk about, why we have things, then the more people get to understand about who we are and being open and transparent and communicating. I think that is the draw here at PRMG. We're totally open. We're totally out there. We put ourselves out there. We're honest. We talk about what we've gone through. And I think that's the attraction for a privately owned company.
I
And
don't
a
think it
group like
matters
us.
who put the shadow boxes up. I'm glad that they're up. People like me follow your progress, right? People like me are, I'm kind of invested in your progress. I want to see it, and I've enjoyed following it. So, people want to be part of a winning team. Most people do.
100%.
So just, there's always going to be the negative naysayers. So you're never going to please 100% of everybody, right? We're going to take a break to pay the bills. Difference Makers podcast is powered by Verity Search. Verity Search is a different type of executive search firm. With industry insights and access to data unlike other firms, Verity serves as a trusted advisor to its valued clients. In today's competitive war for talent, they understand recruiting requires having a strong sales and marketing approach. Recruiting is not posting jobs online and waiting for unqualified people to apply. It's active, it's engaging, and it's working with people while maintaining extreme confidentiality. Verity seeks to build strong, trusted relationships and initiate conversations with industry leaders. Their solutions and techniques are innovative and brave, but based on industry knowledge and key identification strategies. Verity helps clients with their most complex strategic challenges. Some of the key services include strategy planning, research, marketing, prospect identification, qualification, and recruitment across all markets and geographies. If you'd like more information, please check out the website at veritysearch.com. So, I guess my next question is, with all this money flowing into the business, I mean, we know what 2018 looked like, right? It was compression. It was, looking at cost to produce and trying to become more efficient, introduce better technology and, those kinds of things, squeeze more juice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 2019, we saw a lot of merger and acquisition. We saw companies that had sold their servicing in 2018 to survive and were severely cash depleted. Now we're in 2020 and everybody's bank accounts are full and overflowing. With all this money rushing into the business right now, how does it reshape our industry moving forward? And where do you see the next shape shift, or what do you see ahead for the mortgage banking industry, say over the next year or two?
Well, we thought that 2020 was going to be kind of a grinded out year. And I'm glad you brought up margin compression. I mean, people don't realize that there wasn't that much on the rate sheet before this pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
We thought, all right, here we go. The Amazon effect is real.
Everybody wanted to do non-QM because there was better margins, and then non-QM got, axed, and all of a sudden everybody flipped back over to conventional and FHA and traditional lending and agency business, and that's been immensely profitable. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's a great point. I mean, Impact is a local lender here. They they made a strategic decision a couple of years ago to really focus hard on non-QM. And, I don't want to say they became a pogo stick. There's some great people over there. They're still reinventing themselves. You read about them in the press.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you see lenders like UWM or Quicken or Some of the larger ones, guaranteed rate. You see the way they operate on a high level, it is technology driven, right? And so it's scared other lenders to like, oh, well, I guess we got to go do this or non-QM or HELOCs. And we doubled down 10x on the people part of it. We're like, you know what? If you want to make this a refi commodity game and you want to slam out deals in 10 minutes and go for that. But there's, I mean, in a $2 trillion market on a down year, $1.4 trillion market on a down year, you don't think we could squeeze out 12 billion in deals that require a little bit more human touch and compassion and finding a way to help and serve the underserved communities? We 10x down on that now. And so that model was working for us, and we carved out our niche, and we're not backed by a bank or a hedge fund, and we're very personal, and the owners here. So for us, we saw January and February this year, we grew. We grew tremendously in January and February this year. We're like, all right, all this hard work we've been doing has been happening in the last couple of years as far as development and technology driven. We're using AI components. We've got bots that do things. We have development that we're doing on so many different levels. That ultimately will be the driver to thin the herd, even with the fat margins and everything that's here now. I think it did give us a reprieve. Maybe some of the smaller lenders that, independent mortgage bankers that, were kind of in that, category where, they might not have the cash to get through a tough year. Now they have a little more cash than they thought. Hopefully they didn't have to borrow from anyone, because if you borrowed from an equity firm, that, they're waiting for your value of your portfolio to go up, and then you have to have even more cash, and then where are you going to get it from? So either you saved it and you have it, or you got to go back to the person that sunk their claws into you before, and they're going to dig a little deeper. So those are some things that are going to happen. So people have to be really good about managing their cash, but technology is the driver here. So technology is the accelerant. I still firmly believe that when the Amazon effect is fully baked in our industry, there could be 30, maybe 20, maybe 10 lenders left working for 1 point all in gross margin. LOs max 50 basis point comp. Lenders working for max 25 basis point net profit with a 25 basis point, cost per loan. I mean,
really,
look at what Bezos told us. He's this technology driven, shrinking of margins and raising of the amount of volume and getting things out cheaper, better, and faster. All three, it's going to happen. Now, does that mean that every single thing in our industry is going to go away and you can't find some little niche? I mean, of course, there's always going to be boutique lenders, doing, things that are kind of hard to automate, and that's okay. I don't consider us one of those. I think we're a good mix of that. So that's where I've always felt this industry is going. I feel like it's a race against time to build up a lender that will survive those kinds of extinction events, which are still yet to come.
So with technology and the, look, if you really wanted to, you could get a loan today from your couch, right? But that being said, how important is the relationship? How important is that face-to-face handoff, that trust factor? And do you ever see that going away, or do you always see that as being part of our business?
I don't see it going away on the first-time home buyer. So that is,
and that's where you focus, right? You focus on that.
Yeah, we're focused on purchase business. A purchase business requires a little more hand-holding, especially, if your product mix allows for lower FICOs and, down payment assistance and things where people, need help. I mean, unless financial literacy gets taught, at an earlier age or in a better manner, 60 to 65% of America is going to be a homeowner, and not everyone is being taught all the ways of things that, you need to look out for when buying your first home. Therefore, you need an originator. You need someone that's local to help you. I mean, I still think, if all said and done, if you're not doing it face to face, you're doing it over the phone. Why go with some little white dude on a headset in Detroit, because you saw a TV commercial, when you can go to the local person who knows your neighborhood, who's in your neighborhood, who literally lives in your neighborhood and has local knowledge, not local knowledge you read about, but local knowledge you lived and feel and you breathe and you can talk about through the phone. I still think that's the winner. I still think you can win local.
Me too.
And I think that's the best way to go. I think that's the best experience for a home buyer. Even on a refinance, I still think that that matters. Coaching and talking about people, what they do with their savings and their money on a local level. You can't, there's always going to be that group that just, like you said, they want to get a mortgage from their couch. They don't need anybody, and their value proposition is rate.
Mm-hmm.
And the larger lenders that gravitate towards building that kind of tech and that kind of mousetrap, they're going to go get that, and they're going to be enormous, and they're going to make a ton of money. And that's not who we've chosen to be. We've chosen to be a local lender that serves all people, anyone that asks for our help,
Mm-hmm.
anyone that comes across us. That's who we want to serve. And I still think there's going to be plenty of room for that, even with the process being enhanced by automation throughout both sales and operations.
Okay, that's awesome. I just have a couple more questions for you, and it's not business related, but behind you, it bothers the hell out of me on your videos. Behind you, there's some snacks, and it looks like you never eat them. Like, it looks like that's the same jar that's been there for 6 months. Is that different? Are you going through that stuff, or is that just decor?
So these are cashews right here.
Yeah.
And
do you eat them, or do you just put them there for a prop?
So you know what? The thing is, I've been trying to eat a little healthy lately, and of course, having some processed cashews is not a bad thing. But what happens is I like, this is my dinner. Mm-hmm. So that you talk about me not sleeping. Like, I will have like a Fig Newton, okay, or a Cliff Bar, and it's usually after midnight, and that ends up being my dinner. That's it. That's all I eat for dinner. And about 4 months ago, I don't know what, the cashews, it was like I made the cashews my only meal, and it just didn't sit well with me for some reason. The next day, you have that, when you don't eat an actual meal, you don't eat dinner, you just snack, and you have a big gap in between meals, So I never went, what, I'm just going to throw it away, I'm going to throw that away. Good point. I apologize. I'm kind of a hoarder.
Hey man, you have to eat though. You have to take it. I mean, winning goes across everything. You have to take care of your body too, right?
Those are pretty old though.
Yeah, those are in every video, man. They've been in there, I think, maybe since 2000, whatever. I'm guessing, but since I've been watching you, that damn can has been there, or that jug.
Well, the Twizzlers, and then I'm kind of like, all right, well, if I eat Twizzlers after midnight, then is it going to stick to my teeth? And, it's been since lunch, since I brushed, and I'm not going to, so I don't want to throw away the Twizzlers, though. Those things will last through a nuclear holocaust.
So you're a hard worker. You go through all this stuff. I mean, just one more question. What really drives you, man? What gets you up? What gets you up out of bed every day? What's the driver? Where is it? Where's the fire? Who lit the fire? Why is it there? Why do you care about being this information source? Why do you care about affecting people's lives in a positive fashion? Why?
I'm about family, and that's number one. I want to serve my family. I want to leave a legacy. I want my kids to have a better life than I have. My great grandfather came from Sicily, and sent for a bride. Okay, they came from Corleone, and they had some children. And let's just say that he didn't get along with his wife, and something happened between them, and then my great-grandfather was shot in the face in front of my grandfather, okay? And then my grandfather was building bridges and was a carpenter. I'm talking about a very small town in Louisiana. Had a family with another woman who we never married in the deep South. Then had my grandmother, who had my aunt and my father and two other daughters. And my Aunt B and my dad are the first two people to go to college in our family. I mean, it took 3 generations surviving some mafia BS in the deep South just to go to college, right? And so then my dad worked his butt off to put my sister and I through college where we didn't have to pay. My dad had to pay for himself. He slept in a gym and opened and locked the gym every night on LSU campus, slept in a cot at the attic of the gym, and then,
Wow.
got a master's in double E, and I didn't have to pay for a dime for college. And I've never taken that for granted, ever. There's no privilege here. I'm 4 generations to get to where I am. And so I hope nobody's judging me by, certainly not the color of my skin, because I would never do that to someone else. we worked to get to where we are. And to me, that's all that matters. Nobody cares. Work harder. KP, shut up. Just keep working. And so I'm working for my children. I don't know that they're going to have the same opportunities. I look at Europe. I see this massive wide gap in the middle class. There's the haves and the have-nots. It's happening right now in this pandemic. People, like, if you're a renter, if you don't have a college education, if you're in the service industry, you're screwed right now. You're waiting for Congress to send you a check. Okay? But if you're a homeowner, you got to 12 months free payments. You might have got a white collar job that, your companies are getting PPP plans. There's the haves and the have-nots. And I think it's going to be worse for our next generation. So I'm working my ass off so my children have some kind of buffer and they don't have to deal with the headwinds because, rich people don't want to give their money away. We see it in our business. Look at the people who call all the shots at the banks and all the big trade organizations and the larger lenders and the GSEs. They don't ask us for our opinion. We're just the small little guy. I mean, money talks. And so, I don't want to be an a-hole. I don't want to be some rich old white male banker. But look in our business who calls all the shots, who is all the sponsors at trade shows, gets to make the phone calls and say, oh, I don't like the way KP talks about my company. Don't let him talk. I mean, that's going on in our industry. That goes on in life. It's about money and power. And I'm not a money, power hungry kind of person, but I'll be damned if my children don't have the same opportunity because someone with that money and power don't give it to them. So that's what drives me. That's why I work 19-hour days. That's why I don't sleep. That's why I sacrifice time with my family. I love my team. I love serving others. I serve everyone openly in the industry, no matter who it is. I'm an abundance mindset kind of guy. But there are people who play dirty out there, people who are nasty. There are people that don't want others to succeed. And that's just not my mindset. And so that's why I put it all out there. That's what drives me. That's what gets me going. Thanks for asking the question. You can tell I just totally fired myself up.
Love it. Love it.
I'm ready to work another 12 hours. Let's
go.
go.
KP. Love it. Keep going, man. Well, I think we've gone. You've been real generous with your time, man. Thank you for doing this.
Of course.
It's nice to get to know the guy behind the video a little bit. And I think you gave us a good snapshot, especially that last part. That's cool. Now I see where the fire.
If they hung on till the end, they got a good bonus, right?
I finally dragged it out of him.
Drop, go blow it up.
All right, man. Well, listen, I'll let you get back to doing what you do, which is creating excellence over there at PRMG. And thanks for your time. I appreciate it very much. And so does everybody else.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you, man.
Bye.